The following program contains scenes of
An idiotic financial decision.
viewer discretion is advised.
So what is the red pill? At its core, it's men getting together and swapping notes. Now, for over a decade, men have realized just how much we've been led to believe things that just aren't very good for us, and this is where game comes in. Game is based on men observing what behaviors are attractive and what behaviors are not. It's about truly understanding social dynamics and the role they play in human interaction. My name is Ryan. I'm one of those guys who is swapping notes. Like you, I was good at relationships, but not great. Ran into hardships, stuff that seemed to be just unknowable complexity of a relationship, and oh how wrong I was. So after talking about things, trying things, and comparing notes with hundreds of thousands of men, we've come to understand things better, to succeed, to thrive, and to live well in all the ways that matter to us. So, what's the red pill? It's men swapping notes, iron sharpening iron. Welcome to the locker room. I'm 43 with 3 kids under 12. I've been married 15 years, 5'11", 192 pounds, 15% body fat. I've been lifting for 3 years. I can bench 200 at 8 reps, squat 215 at 10 reps, overhead press at 115 at 8. My physique is on point. I catch and release gym bunnies with minimal effort. I found the married red pill 3 years ago. Sidebar is complete. I love data, and when I say no, I feel guilty. So this place has helped my life come together to a whole other level, and I'm loving every minute of it. My finances, my net worth about a 1.1 million. My base income is 150,000. The high cost of living area I'm in, unfortunately, it doesn't go very far. My budget enables ongoing savings, retirement, and college funds, but comes with trade-offs as I drive an older vehicle, and I have to put a stop to most home upgrades, etc. My wife, a stay-at-home mom, gets some assistance from her folks for the kids' sports, music lessons, and vacations. So the issue at hand is I'm considering getting a fishing boat. Fishing is one of my passions. I had a boat at one point years ago and got rid of it when the kids came. Now I want to get one again. I'm going to split it with my dad, so the total cost is less than 10 grand. I brought it up to my wife a week ago, let her know I was serious about it. Standard fitness tests, but I fogged those pretty well. I went to look at one a few hours away yesterday and came back to a nuclear crap storm. All kinds of emotional manipulation like I would expect, but the duration and the severity of it left me surprised. She's obviously trying to bring up the financial aspect, can't afford it, I'm not letting her buy a new shed, etc. I get that she sees a threat on her resources, she's made some comfort type comments, and she doesn't want me gone more. You don't care about me because you haven't scheduled our next getaway weekend, and at one point she even said I never really cared about her. She also brought up divorce indirectly, saying that she may as well just take the kids. One look, shut that down, so then she said, well, maybe we should just leave. And honestly, I would not be totally torn up if we did divorce. So on one hand, I do like her. She's a great mother, homemaker, she's responsible with money, great in a family environment for the kids, sex on demand, and she's still in great shape. On the other hand, there is a ton of hot girls out there to be had. So gentlemen, my question to you is, do I have a blind spot around this boat? Am I making an idiotic financial decision? Or am I interpreting her womanese correctly? Or does that even matter? I appreciate the feedback. Pretty straightforward. I think a lot of guys get these wrong because they could treat anything adversarial as a fitness test, which is not the case. A fitness test, simply put, is a girl who feels attraction. She feels that hint of dopamine, that idea of sexual attractiveness, but because girls don't completely trust their emotions, they decide to throw out, and this is subconscious, but a subconscious test to make sure it's not a fake signal she's seeing. So if you're not getting it as a prelude to smashing, well then it's not a fitness test. So in this case, he does the common mistake most guys make where they assume that a fitness test is the same thing as either disrespect, an actual argument, all those other different reasons for any type of conflict, which it's standard for new guys who don't know what they're doing. I love the term red pill aware, and this is exactly why. So if you look at this guy's thing, he's saying he's been lifting for 3 years, but his bench and squat and overhead press is just average. It's nothing fancy. So I'm not sure why he would say that. Also, physique on point, 15% body fat doesn't really jive. If your physique's on point, you're usually at 10% body fat, but whatever. It's a good enough thing. Here's the part, though, that has to do with red pill aware, and we say that with quotations. He says he found the married red pill 3 years ago. He's completed the sidebar. His 2 books he loves. When I Say No, I Feel Guilty, it's a great one about assertiveness and boundary enforcement, but Data's work is more of like that mythical men are noble warrior creature stuff, so I kind of had a feeling of that. But if he's been here for 3 years and he's finished the sidebar and he can't tell what's happening, well, then he's just aware of red pill, but he's not actually internalizing any of the lessons from any of the guys around here. And you'll always see that. And the biggest indicator you're going to see it is when a guy talks about his time in, as if just being around a forum on the internet is enough to absorb some kind of special masculine powers, which is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, when we say red pill aware, it's basically the way of calling a guy an effing idiot without actually saying it. All threats are honored. This is kind of aside from the main point of it, but I thought it was important to put in here. Girls will often try all kinds of emotional manipulation when they feel a certain way. So when emotions run high, when you're having an argument, often they'll concoct or say something completely out of left field with the sole purpose of just getting you out of the moment, getting you to react angry, basically to reflect her negative emotions back at herself. So one of the more common ones girls do is they threaten divorce. They actually know about all the standard stuff we talk about, how bad divorces can be for men, losing access to your kids. Financially, it's a bit of a windfall, especially if they're a stay-at-home mom and you're the only working parent. The only strategy around this, again, all threats are honored. If they threaten divorce, you file papers. And then the idea is, if this is something that's actually going to happen, and if you generally don't have a say in whether the other person wants to divorce you or not. But what you do here is you stop letting it be used as a weapon against you. So either, shit or get off the pot. I don't know where to start with this guy's advice. I mean, there's so many things to go over. And a lot of the guys in the sub actually kind of pointed that out as well. So first off, he brings up his finances. He's house rich and cash poor. Chances are he bought during a slump. The house is worth a lot right now, but they don't have a lot of money. They have $150,000, which sounds great depending on where you live, but with his high cost of living area, it's probably gone. The fact that his stay-at-home mom doesn't have a job and she's leaning on her parents to pay for things like taking care of the kids, it's probably a huge blind spot on his part. Also, she had brought up a point before where she wanted to buy a shed or something like that, and he shot it down because they couldn't afford it. Meanwhile, he's going to throw 10 grand onto a boat. Fiscally irresponsible. I mean, it's not a hard case to make on this one, so I'm going to kind of go down that road. Now, I get what he's trying to do here. He's trying to do what is normally referred to in these red pill circles as the midlife crisis. A guy realizes he has value, and so they start doing things to enjoy themselves. In his case, he's getting his fishing boat back, but at the same time, the part about midlife crises that work is that the guy has worked so hard, built himself a good nest egg, and then realizes that he doesn't have to be a plow horse for anybody else anymore and spend it on himself. But in this case, it seems a bit premature, and it sounds like this guy is fiscally irresponsible. And I think he knows that, because that's one of the good qualities he gave his wife, was to call her fiscally responsible. And then to have a fight over money, it kind of lets you know that in his heart of hearts, he kind of knows what he's doing is stupid, but for some reason he's just too proud to be talked out of it. So my advice for you is start taking charge. Right now, you're kind of winging it. You know there's some glaring weak spots in your ability to run a household, and you're deferring to your wife a lot. But now you're trying to get frame back, so you're fighting her on these things that she's normally led for in the longest time. So instead of going fishing, what you need to do is take a real deep dive into your life right now and sort out these major issues that are coming up. And this matters for you guys in the same way that it matters for all of us. When it's our egos, we never see the issue. But when it's somebody else's egos, it's glaringly obvious. So when you're looking at stuff like this, don't think, he's an idiot, and just dismiss this. Realize that almost every guy out there has some kind of ego investment of his own version of a fishing boat. And so if you can find out what yours are, have that self-awareness or self-reflection or just the ability to observe things and keeping your ego out of it is going to be a huge boon to you. So I guarantee if you're having relationship issues and you don't see where your fishing boat is, then yeah, these kind of stories are the kind of things you need to pay attention to. Because if you see how he wrote it down, he literally tells you the problem if you're willing to read between the lines. He's asking about, is this thing financially responsible? He admits his wife is financially responsible. He admits that he probably shouldn't do it, but he really wants it very badly. It's basically the opposite of every story you heard where a girl wants to spend a guy at a house and home and he has to be the fiscally responsible one. So in this case, it's a bit of a gender reversal here. So what's in it for you? Realize that there's somewhere in your life you may be doing this, and the quicker you suss it out, the faster you're going to find yourself getting an actual fishing boat, whatever that may be for you. An alternative for this one, well, first off, the alternative is going to be honest with himself. Lifting, doesn't matter how many years you've been lifting for. All these stats are very average stats, and he should have just played it up as much. This is average. I guess it's above average. For a married guy, 43, it's not bad, but it's not brag worthy. So you could probably just streamline this. Look, I'm basic lifts, pretty good shape, work is here. Acknowledging the parts where he had to work on would at least let you know he knows where his weak spots are. The fact that he talks about being on point when he's clearly not on point lets you know self-awareness is an issue here. And so then at least acknowledging that would show that he's worth a damn to give advice to. The second part is he's talking about catching and releasing gym bunnies with minimal effort. First off, catch and release is conversation, rapport, and maybe a phone number close. It's not that hard. It's not worth bragging about. And the fact that he's saying it's good with minimal effort means he just finally understand what it meant to be social. So good for him. The next part of this one is that he should already know. He should have crunched the numbers on this, if it was good for him, if it was not. If he wants to be financially beholden to his parents giving him money, that's fine, but you got to own that too. You realize if you're really struggling for cash to the point where you can't buy home upgrades and you have to drive a secondhand car, going in with 10 grand on a fishing boat that you really don't need, you should already have a vision in place. And he should have already known that financially keeping things stable and making everything happy, like I said, you don't need $1 million. But if you're deciding to live frugally, well then live frugally and just be congruent with it. At the second part here, he got so mad that he was told no, that he was thinking divorce would be a good thing. He actually didn't come to the internet for advice. He came to vent. And this is why this guy is completely useless. And if you saw his responses, they were all amogging, bravado, ego investment, telling guys, you can't tell me that. It's basically like dealing with a woman, except for with, tits not nearly as nice. So on that note, though, I'm going to leave you guys to it. Thank you for another relationship breakdown. As always, come in, check us out on Patreon. We're doing a bunch of new members right now. Forums are going really well. We do a lot of this stuff with people's personal lives and deal with these problems in a way that is structured and effective. Much more than you're going to see from any other goofballs on the internet or marriage counselors or any of that nonsense. But on that note, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.